The hour of 12 noon having arrived. The House will come to order. Members, please take your seats. Sergeants at arms, please close the doors of the House. Prayer today will be offered by our colleague, Representative Nelson. Immediately after prayer, we will recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Members and guests, please rise as able.
In the 5th chapter of the Gospel of Mark, a woman who had been suffering an illness for 12 years pushed through a large crowd of people just to touch the garment of Jesus in hopes that in doing so, she would be healed. One person amongst a crowd of fans and onlookers. Let us pray. Lord, we come before you today with thanksgiving in our hearts, desperate for your clarity and courage. We know that each day we have breath is a blessed day. Each day that we are able to gather in these hallowed halls is another opportunity to do your work, and for that we again say thank you. You have given us the power to impact the lives of millions of people in this Commonwealth. So grant us clarity in this season, Lord, to see beyond the supporters, the fans, and those who seek to get close to us for professional gain. Help us to see the person who needs us the most. We know she may no longer believe that proximity to us will bring aid. He may have touched our garment before with no relief. I beg for you clarity, that we might recognize the capacity that we have when we gather, not to perform miracles, but to make government a vessel for the restoration and healing. I also beg courage in this season, Lord. I admit that in our humanity, we often focus on the crowd. We find victory in addressing the desires of the masses instead of the needs of the few. Grant us the courage to address the true needs that are before us, Lord. When we help the seniors that are trying to care for adult children with disabilities, we do your work. When we provide protections for immigrants hiding in plain sight or housing for those hiding on stream banks, education for the children considering the rewards of the streets, a helping hand for the family farmer that is trying to feed their neighbors, and a living wage to the single dad that makes one full-time job enough. We do the work that you have called us to and reward the touch of a garment. We have work to do in this chamber, Lord. Remind us that we have already given us the tools that we need to do a mighty thing today. We rejoice and are glad in it, and thank you for answered prayers. Amen. Pledge allegiance.
Sergeant at arms, open the doors of the House. Without objection, the approval of the journal from Friday, July 5th, 2024 will be postponed until printed. Are there requests for leaves of absence? The chair recognizes the majority whip, who indicates there are none. Chair recognizes the minority whip, who requests leave of absence for the gentleman from Washington for the day, Representative Ortiz. Without objection, the leave is granted. Chair is about to take the master roll call. Members will proceed to vote. Have all the members voted? Have all the members voted? Clerk will record the vote. 201 members having voted on the master roll call. A quorum is present. The chair referred the following bills, which the clerk will now read.
Referrals July 8th, 2024. House Bill 2487, Appropriations. House Bill 2486, to Tourism and Economic and Recreational Development.
Chair is in receipt of extracts from the Journal of the Senate, which the clerk will now read.
Clerk of the Senate being introduced, return bill from the House of Representatives, number and title as follows. House Bill 1716 and House Bill 2200. With information, the Senate has passed the same without amendment. Bills numbered and titled as follows, having been prepared for presentation to the governor, and the same being correct, the titles were publicly read as follows. House Bill 1716, House Bill 2200, whereupon the Speaker, in the presence of the House, signed the same.
Chair is about to sign the following bills, which the clerk will now read.
House Bill 1716 and House Bill 2200.
Chair recognizes the Majority Caucus Chair, Representative Schlossberg, for a caucus announcement.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there will be an immediate meeting of the House Rules Committee in the Majority Caucus Room. House Democrats will caucus at 2 o'clock. We will be prepared to come back to the floor at 2:30.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Chair recognizes the Minority Caucus Chair, Representative Dunbar, for a caucus announcement.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Republicans will caucus at 1:30. Republicans will caucus at 1:30. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Lackawanna County for a committee announcement. Representative Mullins.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Appropriations Committee will meet immediately following the Rules Committee meeting in the Majority Caucus Room. That's an Appropriations Committee meeting immediately following Rules in the Majority Caucus Room. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Chair thanks the gentleman on that question. Chair recognizes the gentleman, Representative Samuelson, for a committee announcement.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Finance Committee will meet at 12:30 in room 515 Irvis to consider Senate Bill 219, sponsored by Senator Costa, and any other business to come before the committee. 12:30 in room 515 Irvis. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Chair thanks the gentleman. The House will stand in recess until 2:30 p.m. unless sooner recalled by the Speaker. The hour of 2:45 having arrived, the House will come to order. Members will take your seats. Chair recognizes Representative Harris, Chair of the Committee on Appropriations, who reports the following bills. House Bill 1425, re-reported as committed. Will the House agree the report is agreed to? House Bill 2241, re-reported as committed. Will the House agree the report is agreed to? House Bill 2286, re-reported as committed. Will the House agree the report is agreed to? House Bill 2426, re-reported as committed. Will the House agree the report it is agreed to? The chair recognizes Representative Bradford, Chair of the Committee on Rules, who reports the following bills. House Bill 1526, re-reported as committed. Will the House agree the report is agreed to? House Bill 1664, re-reported as committed. Will the House agree the report it is agreed to? House Bill 1850, re-reported as committed. Will the House agree the report is agreed to? House Bill 2160, re-reported as committed. Will the House agree the report it is agreed to? House Bill 2473, re-reported as committed. Will the House agree the report it is agreed to? Chair recognizes Representative Samuelson, Chair of the Committee on Finance, that report the following bill. Senate Bill 219, reported as committed. Will the House agree to the bill it is agreed to? The chair recognizes the Majority Leader, who calls up House Resolution 446, printers number 3132 on page 5. of today's House calendar. Clerk will read a summary of the resolution.
A resolution designating July 22nd, 2024 as Hemi Hyperplasia Awareness Day in Pennsylvania, introduced by Representative Barry Joswiak.
Will the House agree to the resolution? Those in favor of the resolution will be voting aye. Those opposed will be voting no. Members will proceed to vote. Have all the members voted? Have all the members voted? Clerk will record the vote on the resolution. The ayes are 200 and the nays are 1. The resolution is adopted. The chair recognizes the majority leader who calls up House Bill 1850, Reuters number 2318, on page 1 of Supplemental Calendar A. Clerk will read a summary of the bill.
This bill amends the second-class township code to clarify advertising provisions when townships reappoint certified public accountants to replace elected auditors.
Will the House agree the bill is agreed to? The chair recognizes the majority leader who calls up House Bill 2160, Reuters number 3411, on page 2 of Supplemental Calendar A. Clerk will read a summary of the bill.
This bill amends the first-class township code to provide expedited process for the filing of vacancies on the Board of Commissioners.
Will the House agree the bill is agreed to? The chair recognizes the majority leader who calls up House Bill 2473, Reuters number 3459, on page 2 of Supplemental Calendar A. The clerk will read a summary of the bill.
This bill aligns Pennsylvania's election procedures with the requirements of the Federal Electoral Count Reform Act passed by Congress in 2022.
Will the House agree to the bill? It is agreed to. The chair recognizes the majority leader who calls up House Bill 1526, Reuters number 3371, on page 1, Supplemental Calendar A. Clerk will read a summary of the bill.
This bill removes a limitation on intermediate units to rent facilities and allows them to own instructional space and use facilities they already have for instructional purposes.
Will the House agree to the bill? Chair rules the following amendment out of order for violating House Rules 20. A05450. Will the House agree to the bill? It's agreed to. The chair recognizes the majority leader who calls up Senate Bill 559, Reuters number 1292, on page 3 of today's House calendar. Clerk will read a summary of the bill.
This bill clarifies definitions for athletic trainers in the Medical Practice Act.
Will the House agree to the bill? Representative Vinkett offers Amendment A05375. Will the House agree to the amendment? On that question, the chair recognizes the maker of the amendment, the gentleman from Allegheny County, Representative Vinkett.
Madam Speaker, I strongly believe we do need to modernize our athletic training licensure law. I propose this amendment because there continues to be conflict among the stakeholders related to the boundaries that we place on this very important workforce. Unfortunately, that consensus has not been reached with my proposal of this amendment. I therefore will withdraw this amendment and would urge us to continue to consider whether the legislation as currently drafted meets the standards that we would want in this state. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Gentleman withdraws. Chair thanks the gentleman. Will the House agree to the bill? It's agreed to. Clerk. Chair recognizes the majority leader who calls up Senate Bill 560, Reuters number 1293, on page 4 of today's House calendar. Clerk will read a summary of the bill.
This bill clarifies definitions for athletic trainers in the Osteopathic Medical Practice Act.
Will the House agree to the bill? Representative Vinkett offers A05374. Gentleman withdraws. Chair thanks the gentleman. Will the House agree to the bill? It's agreed to. Chair recognizes the majority leader who calls up Senate Bill 1236, Printers number 1726, on page 3 of today's House calendar. Clerk will read a summary of the bill.
This bill amends the Landlord and Tenant Act.
Will the House agree to the bill? Chair rules the following amendments out of order for violating House Rule 20. A05277. A05427. For what purpose does the gentlelady from Montgomery County rise? Representative Shuren.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am standing to speak on my amendments 5469 and 5470. Are we good?
Chair asks the gentlelady to repeat which amendment the gentlelady would like to speak on.
Amendment 5469, Madam Speaker.
For the information of the members, the previously referenced amendment was not filed. However, Representative Shuren also offers A05276. Will the House agree to the amendment? The chair recognizes the maker of the amendment, the gentlelady, Representative Shuren.
Madam Speaker, if I understand correctly, you have just ruled 5276 out of order?
That is not correct. That amendment is in order, properly filed on the subject, and the gentlelady may speak on it.
I know, but the other one. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today to offer Amendment A05276, which would amend Senate Bill 1236. My amendment would allow law enforcement officers to immediately remove squatters from a homeowner's property if the homeowner signs an affidavit subject to criminal penalties for unsworn falsification to authorities, stating that he or she is the true and lawful owner of the residence. This session, many of us have received anxious messages from our constituents regarding the unlawful and highly dishonest practice of squatting, which involves the occupation or possession of a residence or other real property without the law owner's consent. Squatting incidents have become occurring at an ever-increasing rate throughout this country, and criminals are keenly taking advantage of lax laws to commandeer the property rights of lawful home and landowners. Some recent squatting incidents include the following. In March, a woman returned to New York following a trip to Spain to discover 2 squatters unlawfully occupying her residence. These squatters proceeded to murder the homeowner by viciously slamming her head against the walls of her home. In March, as a result of a New York squatter-friendly law, squatters in Queens were successful in having a homeowner arrested for the apparent unlawful act of changing the locks to her own home. In January, a Philadelphia homeowner was compelled to pay $1,200 to oust several squatters from his home after police and city officials refused to arrest and remove the criminals. An illegal immigrant social media influencer went viral in recent months after posting a video on TikTok in which he brazenly encouraged other migrants to take advantage of the lenient property laws by squatting in U.S. homes. And in Jeanette, squatters turned a Pennsylvania home into a drug den and lit a fire on the floor to cook pasta. In January, a couple was arrested after squatting in a Waynesboro, Pennsylvania home for months. Police found syringes, marijuana, drug paraphernalia, and prohibited offensive weapons littering the residence. While any act of squatting will likely violate numerous provisions of the Pennsylvania Crimes Code, including Section 3502 relating to burglary and Section 3503 relating to criminal trespass, law enforcement officers are often reluctant to take any action because of the difficulty associated with identifying which individual is the true and lawful owner of the property. Evicting squatters can be a lengthy and complicated legal process, resulting in significant legal fees and prolonged periods where the true homeowner is denied access to the residence. Squatters commonly cause significant damage to the homeowner's property, which can result in costly repairs for the homeowner as well. Squatters most commonly target lower-income neighborhoods where property owners do not necessarily have the means to hire an attorney to repossess their own property. This amendment is clearly needed to strengthen property rights and homeowner protections. At a time when the legislative body has had many bills before it, and just recently last week, with us focusing on many laws surrounding the rights of animals, I sincerely hope my colleagues sees the importance of this amendment to stand up for the homeowners of the Commonwealth and right the wrong in this law, to be able to remove the squatters through the help of the police immediately. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I ask for an affirmative vote.
Chair thanks the gentlelady. For what purpose does the gentleman from Allegheny rise? Majority Whip, Representative Miller.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to make a motion.
The gentleman is in order and may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to offer that this amendment and all remaining amendments be tabled to Senate Bill 1236 pursuant to House Rule 59.
Representative Miller moves that all remaining amendments be laid on the table. On that question, members are reminded that the motion to lay on the table is only debatable by the leaders, by the maker of the bill. the makers of the amendment, and the maker of the motion. On that motion, the chair recognizes the gentleman from Lancaster, Representative Cutler, Minority Floor Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I believe that the good lady has made the case as to why this amendment should be considered. Respectfully, the motion to table simply delays that debate, the debate regarding squatters, and that is exactly why it should not be tabled. It is timely. We're talking about rights to property, and this amendment falls squarely within that debate. We should consider it for its merits and not on procedural moves. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I urge opposition to the motion to table.
Chair thanks the gentleman on that question. Chair recognizes the gentlelady from Allegheny, Representative Gatos. Lady waves off. Chair recognizes the gentlelady from Montgomery, Representative Shuren.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I feel that this amendment is firmly related to the context of this bill. Both amendments, although this one specifically, directly relate to the highly immoral and dishonest practice of squatting, just like the underlying bill, and grant law enforcement the right to eject these trespassers from the property. It is long past time for this body to stand up for the homeowners and landowners of this Commonwealth and right this wrong. Otherwise, the message that we are sending is that the homeowners' property rights don't matter. I urge that this amendment be reconsidered.
Chair thanks the gentlelady. Those in favor of the motion to table will be voting aye. Those opposed will be voting no. Members will proceed to vote. Have all the members voted? Have all the members voted? Clerk will record the vote on the motion. The ayes are 102, the nays are 99. The majority having voted in the affirmative, all remaining amendments are laid on the table. Will the House agree the bill is agreed to? Chair recognizes the majority leader who calls up House Bill 1425, printers number 3387 on page 1. Supplemental calendar B. Will the House agree the bill is agreed to? Clerk will read the title and a brief description of the bill.
This bill establishes the Universal Maternal Home Visiting Act under the Office of Child Development and Early Learning.
This bill has been considered on 3 different days and agreed to. Question is, shall the bill pass the House finally? On that question, the chair recognizes the maker of the bill, gentlelady from Philadelphia, Representative Parker.
Thank you for your patience, Madam Speaker. House Bill 1421 provides for the expansion of the maternal home visiting program under the Department of Human Services, Office of Child Development and Early Learning. The Pennsylvania Maternal, Infant, and Early Childhood Home Visiting Program is funded partially through federal funding from the Maternal, Infant, and Early Childhood Home Visiting Program and provides voluntary evidence-based home visiting services to at-risk pregnant women and parents with young children. House Bill 1425 requires the Department of Human Services to establish a 5-year plan to offer maternal home visiting to eligible families. House Bill 1425 requires the Department of Human Services to create an evaluation plan that would include the following content: whether the program should be expanded, proposed applications for federal grants, social outcomes of the program, and address the potential to expand the program up to 20%. Finally, House Bill 1425 mandates an annual reporting deadline of no later than December 31st of each year the plan is in effect. The report shall be submitted to the General Assembly regarding the implementation of the plan and access to the maternal home visiting programs. The home visiting program provides voluntary, culturally appropriate, individual tailored supports to families in their homes, including providing information about children's health, development, and safety. The primary goal of the home visiting program are to improve health of moms and babies' maximum children early potential to start school healthy and ready to learn and to achieve personal and family goals. Additional goals include improved child development, school readiness, promote family economic self-sufficiency, promote positive parenting practices, reduce abuse and neglect, and address substance use disorders. According to the Pennsylvania Partnership for Children, 20,665 Pennsylvania families receive evidence-based home visiting services, totaling 7% of Pennsylvania families who could benefit from evidence-based home visiting services. In addition, children and families in all 67 counties across the Commonwealth receive voluntary evidence-based home visiting services. I am asking my colleagues to support Bill 1425 to assist in fostering healthier home environments for our most vulnerable citizens and our children. Thank you.
Chair thanks the maker of the bill. Agreeable to the provisions of the Constitution, the yeas and nays will now be taken. Members will proceed to vote. Have all the members voted? Have all the members voted? Clerk will record the vote on final passage of the bill. The yeas are 144, the nays are 57. The majority required by the Constitution having voted in the affirmative, the bill passes the House finally, and the clerk will present the same to the Senate for concurrence. The chair recognizes the majority leader who calls up House Bill 2241, printer's number 3223 on page 2 of Supplemental Calendar B. Will the House agree the bill is agreed to? Clerk will read the title and a brief description of the bill.
This bill establishes a stewardship program for portable and medium format batteries.
This bill's been considered on 3 different days and agreed to. The question is, shall the bill pass the House finally? On that question, the chair recognizes the maker of the bill, gentleman from the Lehigh, Representative Siegel.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, HB 2241's story starts on March 22nd in York County's Penn Waste Recycling Facility, an ordinary day that transformed into a destructive inferno. Over 40 Penn Waste employees saw their lives put in jeopardy as a destructive fire consumed the state-of-the-art recycling facility, causing $36 million in damages. And a first responder was injured in response to that crisis and fortunately recovered. The culprit behind that fire was a rechargeable battery, errantly tossed into our solid waste recycling system, igniting the facility itself. Colleagues, we have a chance to be proactive here in getting ahead of what is likely to become an increasingly recurring crisis. Lithium batteries help power many of the modern conveniences in our lives, from electric toothbrushes and e-scooters to our cell phones, laptops, and power tools. They're everywhere, and with market predictions indicating that lithium-ion batteries' capacity could rise 5-fold by the end of the decade, it's critical that as a Commonwealth, we get ahead of this challenge to promote public safety and, equally important, public awareness. HB 2241 addresses this challenge by creating a true public-private partnership. where manufacturers play a direct role in addressing the residual consequences of their industry by taking these popular batteries and properly repurposing them. It's not often that we have an industry or a private sector entity come forward to play a proactive role in addressing the consequences of the industry in a way that saves the Commonwealth money. It's important to remember that these battery stewardship programs, administered by the manufacturers and approved by DEP, will allow us to protect and preserve our environment, responsibly repurpose and dispose of these lithium-ion batteries at no cost to the Commonwealth. And equally important, make sure that as a state, we properly message to consumers to make sure that they are aware of the end-of-life cycle of that battery. In fact, just 10 to 12% of batteries sold annually in North America are actually properly recycled, meaning the vast majority of them make their way into landfills, our solid waste recycling facilities, putting workers and the public in danger. Programs like this can allow us to responsibly recycle up to 50% of the materials in lithium-ion batteries, making sure that we repurpose those critical elements rather than going back and mining them all over again. Colleagues, I ask you to support HB 2241 today so that we can promote public safety, environmental sustainability, and most importantly, public awareness about how we can all play a role in making our Commonwealth a little bit cleaner and safer. Thank you.
Chair thanks the maker of the bill. On that question, Chair recognizes the gentleman from McKean, Representative Causer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise in opposition to House Bill 2241. There are a number of concerns with this bill, but I want to call your attention to something that this legislature passed in the past that has been a complete disaster that this bill reminds me of, and that's the electronics recycling. A few years ago, we mandated electronics recycling in the state, and it has been a complete disaster, especially in rural parts of the state. In many parts of this Commonwealth, you cannot deposit electronics in any location to properly get rid of it, and the legislation that we're considering here looks very similar to what we passed in the past. There are a number of concerns with this bill, including the fees that will be attached, the fees that will be passed on to the consumer, the mandates, the additional responsibility on the provided by the Department of Environmental Protection. I think it's a bad idea, and I urge a negative vote. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Agreeable to the provisions of the Constitution, the yeas and nays will now be taken. Members will proceed to vote. Have all the members voted? Have all the members voted? Clerk will record the vote on final passage of the bill. The yeas are 115, the nays are 86. The majority required by the Constitution having voted in the affirmative, the bill passes the House finally, and the clerk will present the same to the Senate for concurrence. The chair recognizes the majority leader who calls up House Bill 2286, printers number 3093, on page 1 of Supplemental Calendar B. Will the House agree the bill is agreed to? The clerk will read the title and a brief description of the bill.
This bill expands current immunity and liability for donated food explicitly to food that has exceeded the labeled shelf life date but is fit for human consumption.
This bill's been considered on 3 different days and agreed to. The question is, shall the bill pass the House finally? On that question, the chair recognizes the maker of the bill, the gentleman from Philadelphia, Representative Khan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm honored to speak on behalf of House Bill 2286. Over 1.2 million Pennsylvanians experience food insecurity, and a quarter of those are kids. And unfortunately, a lot of places, when the best by date is past the best by date, they actually have to throw that food away, even if it's not spoiled, even if it's fit for human consumption. I'm very proud to work with the gentleman across the aisle from Mifflin, Snyder Union, and Juniata, Representative Rowe, on this bill that will extend liability protections to businesses so that they can give this food, which is still good, to families. This is a bill that's going to affect families. It's going to help families that are struggling. It's going to help businesses because business will actually be able to use this as a write-off so they can write off this product on their taxes. And it's also good for the environment because it reduces waste. So again, I thank my fellow colleague from across the aisle, Representative Rowe, for his work on this bill. Honored to co-prime it with him, and I'd urge you to vote for House Bill 2286. Thank you.
Chair thanks the maker of the bill. Agreeable to the provisions of the Constitution, the ayes and nays will now be taken. Members will proceed to vote. Have all the members voted? Have all the members voted? Clerk will record the vote on final passage of the bill. The yeas are 201 and nays are 0. A majority required by the Constitution having voted in the affirmative, the bill passes the House finally, and the clerk will present the same to the Senate for concurrence. The chair recognizes the Majority Leader who calls up House Bill 2426, printer's number 3336 on page 2 of Supplemental Calendar B. Will the House agree the bill is agreed to? Clerk will read the title and a brief description of the bill.
This bill amends Title 75 to provide for use of registration plate flipping device.
This bill has been considered on 3 different days and agreed to. The question is, shall the bill pass the House finally? On that question, the chair recognizes the maker of the bill, gentleman from Philadelphia, Representative Gallagher.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today I ask members to support my bill, HB 2426. It's a license plate ensures that vehicles can be identified and vehicle owners held accountable for illegal and unsafe behavior on the road. License plate flipping devices allow drivers to illegally conceal their license plates, modify its appearance, or switch one license plate to another. These devices are becoming more prevalent on Pennsylvania roads, and more drivers are using them to avoid tolls, avoid law enforcement, and conduct criminal activity. Recently, the City of Philadelphia acted to prohibit these devices within the city, but more action is needed. My bill will prohibit these devices statewide and support Pennsylvania State Troopers Association. I ask members to support this common sense bill, and I thank you for your support. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Agreeable to the provisions of the Constitution, the yeas and nays will now be taken. Members will proceed to vote. Have all the members voted? Have all the members voted? Clerk will record the vote on final passage of the bill. The yeas are 201 and nays are 0. Majority required by the Constitution having voted in the affirmative, the bill passes the House finally, and the clerk will present the same to the Senate for concurrence. The chair recognizes the Majority Leader who calls up House Bill 1664, printer's number 3478 on page 1, Supplemental Calendar C, for concurrence in Senate amendments. Question is, will the House concur in the amendments inserted by the Senate? The chair recognizes the gentleman from Montgomery County, Representative Scott, for a brief description of the Senate amendments.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today to speak on House Bill 1664 as amended in the Senate. When the bill left the House unanimously, it provided dentists with multiple payment options for filing claims and included protections that required dental insurers to receive consent from dentists to charge an administrative fee on specific payments, such as virtual credit cards. The Senate has amended the bill to include payment protections for other healthcare providers, not just dentists. Health insurers must provide payment options and obtain consent whenever they charge a payment fee. Finally, also amended in the bill is e-notice, which will allow an employer-sponsored health insurance plan to opt employees into e-notices instead of paper. There are consumer protections which allow the employee to opt out of the electronic notice and to go back to paper notices. The bill has passed the Senate by a unanimous vote. I'd like to thank our House Majority Insurance staff, Alan, Joe, and Aaliyah for their work on this bill, as well as my good colleague, Dr. Arvind Vinkat, for his invaluable leadership, as well as insight on this bill. I respectfully ask my colleagues for an affirmative vote. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Agreeable to the provisions of the Constitution, the yeas and nays will now be taken. Members will proceed to vote. Have all the members voted? Have all the members voted? Clerk will record the vote on the concurrence to the Senate amendments. The yeas are 201, the nays are 0. The majority required by the Constitution having voted in the affirmative, the amendments are concurrent, and the clerk will inform the Senate accordingly. For what purpose does the gentleman from Berks, Representative Joswiak, rise?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just, House Resolution 446, I'd like to submit my remarks for the record. Thank you. Thank you.
Chair thanks the gentleman. His remarks will be spread across the record. The chair is in receipt of extracts from the Journal of the Senate, which the clerk will now read.
Bills number and titles as follows, having been prepared for presentation to the governor and the same being correct. The titles were publicly read as follows. House Bill 1664, whereupon the Speaker, in the presence of the House, signed the same.
Chair is about to sign the following bills, which the clerk will now read.
House Bill 1664.
The Majority Leader moves that the following bills be recommitted to the Committee on Appropriations. House Bill 1526, House Bill 1850, House Bill 2160, House Bill 2473, Senate Bill 559, Senate Bill 560, Senate Bill 1236. The Majority Leader moves that the following bills be removed from the tabled calendar and be placed on the active calendar. House Bill 1617, House Bill 2092, Senate Bill 219. For the information of the members, there will be no further votes. Chair is in receipt of a motion from the gentleman from Erie, Representative Bizzarro, that the House now adjourn until Tuesday, July the 9th, 2024 at 11 a.m. unless sooner recalled by the Speaker. Questions on the motion? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The House stands adjourned until Tuesday, July the 9th, 2024 at 11 a.m. unless sooner recalled by the Speaker.